The District, Season 1, Chapter 5, The Envelope, and Knowledge Check 1. Isabel tries to let this strange number go, but a small comment from James and an even stranger sight near the elevators makes that harder than she expected. What does it mean to let something go emotionally? Why do we say someone is all ears when they're listening closely? And how do English speakers actually pronounce "I don't know" in fast casual speech? By Wednesday, Isabel had almost convinced herself to let it go. Richard's questions still echoed sometimes. Late in the afternoon, when the office got quiet. But she told herself it was nothing. New analysts probably got intense questions all the time. That was probably just Richard's way. Still, during a quiet moment, she turned to James. "Hey, can I ask you something about that report from last week?" "I'm all ears," James said, leaning back in his chair. "That client code, the one with the small discrepancy, has that ever come up before? Like with other analysts?" James' easy smile flickered, just slightly, before returning. "Honestly, I wouldn't worry about it. Stuff like that happens more than people think. Big company, lots of accounts, things get a little messy sometimes. It's normal." "Right," Isabel said. "That's basically what you said before." "Because it's true," James said, though something in his tone felt a touch quicker than usual, a touch more rehearsed. "Why? Did Richard say something?" "Not really," Isabel said carefully. "He just asked if I'd flagged it with anyone." "And you said you flagged it with me?" "Well, yeah, that's what happened." James nodded slowly, his expression unreadable for half a second before the easy smile returned. "Good, that's fine. Nothing to worry about." The conversation moved on from there, but something about it sat slightly differently than it had the first time. Later that evening, working a little later than usual to catch up on backlog of files, Isabel made her way toward the elevators, juggling her laptop bag and a half-finished coffee. That's when she saw Derek Walsh near the elevator bank, speaking quietly into his phone, an envelope tucked under his arm. He wasn't loud, the way he normally was. His voice was low, almost careful. "No, I told you. I'll handle it personally, just not over the phone. I'll see you Thursday." He ended the call as the elevator doors opened, glancing up and noticing Isabel for the first time. "Reyes," he said, recovering his usual easy charm almost instantly. "Working late?" "Just catching up. Isabel said. You too? Always, Derek said, stepping into the elevator beside her. Client stuff never really stops. The doors closed. The envelope stayed tucked firmly under his arm the entire ride down, and Derek didn't mention it once. Isabel didn't ask, but walking out into the cool evening air, she found herself thinking about envelopes and discrepancies and the quiet, careful way people in this building sometimes spoke when they thought no one else was listening. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to The District, Chapter 5 today. And this is a special one. It's our very first knowledge check chapter. So, after the lesson, I'll tell you exactly how that works. But first, let's get into the language. Let's start with the chapter's opening line. By Wednesday, Isabel had almost convinced herself to let it go. To let something go means to stop thinking about something, to release a worry, an argument, or a feeling, instead of continuing to hold on to it. It's an incredibly common idiom in everyday English, especially around emotions. I was upset for a while, but I've let it go now. Or, you really need to let this go. It's not worth the stress. Notice it's often used with feelings, so we struggle to release. Exactly like Isabel here. Now let's look at James' response when Isabel wants to ask him something. I'm all ears. This idiom means I'm listening closely and fully ready to hear what you're about to say. It's a warm, friendly way of inviting someone to speak, often used informally between colleagues or friends. Go ahead, I'm all ears. Tell me everything, I'm all ears. It instantly signals full attention, which makes it a nice, natural contrast to how James' attention subtly shifts later in the same conversation. Grammar wise, let's look at this sentence. Something in his tone felt a touch quicker than usual. The phrase, a touch, here functions almost like a little or slightly. It's a soft, understated way of describing a small degree of something. She seemed a touch nervous. The coffee's a touch too strong for me. It's a lovely, very natural way to soften an observation in English, especially when describing subtle changes in tone or behavior, exactly like this moment with James. Now, pronunciation time. Let's listen to a phrase that doesn't even appear directly in the text, but is incredibly relevant here. I don't know, because it's exactly the kind of uncertain energy in James' responses. In fast, natural speech, I don't know almost never sounds like three separate clear words. It often compresses into something like, I don't know, with the middle sound softening and blending together. This happens so often in casual native speech that recognizing "I don't know" in real conversations is essential for natural listening comprehension. Even though, again, we always write the full form in formal writing. Let's look at Derek's phone conversation. "I'll handle it personally." The phrasal verb to handle something means to deal with it, manage it, or take responsibility for it. Often used in professional contexts to reassure someone that a task or problem is under control. "Don't worry, I'll handle it." She handles all her client relationships. Adding personally emphasizes that the speaker themselves specifically will take care of it, rather than delegating it to someone else, which adds a layer of seriousness to Derek's tone here. And finally, let's notice a small but important grammar detail in the final paragraph. She found herself thinking about envelopes. This reflexive structure, "found herself doing something," describes realizing you're in a state or action without having consciously decided to be there. It's often used to describe drifting thoughts, sudden realizations, or unplanned situations. I found myself agreeing with him. He found himself lost in thought. It's a beautifully natural way to describe internal, almost involuntary mental states in English. That's our lesson for Chapter 5. We covered the idiom "let it go," the expression "I'm all ears," the softening phrase "a touch," natural pronunciation reduction with "I don't know," the phrasal verb "handle" plus "personally," and the reflexive structure "found herself doing something." This is your first knowledge check, covering everything from Isabel's first date to tonight's quiet elevator encounter with Derek, including all the vocabulary, idioms, and expressions from chapters 1 through 5. The link to word wall activity is in the video description below. Test yourself, see how much you've picked up, and don't worry if you don't get everything right the first time. The goal isn't a perfect score. The goal is noticing how much natural English you're already absorbing just by listening to a story. So Isabel almost let it go. Almost. But between James' strangely quick reassurance and Derek's hushed phone call in the elevator, the quiet doubts in her notebook are starting to multiply. In her next chapter, Patricia opens up a little about Spanstone's history, and one comment about 5 years ago might matter more than anyone realizes. I'll see you there.